What's up, YouTube? Today we're talking about crimpers for PEX pipe. We'll talk about the advantages, disadvantages, and which one I think you should use. Let's get into it. Alright, first up is the Sharkbite crimper. This is the 1/2 inch and 3/4 variety. And this one has a really nice handle, easy to use, easy to crimp, not too much pressure. And if we get into the crimping here, we'll start with the 1/2 inch first. I'll get the crimping on first. I like how the jaws open up in this one. Just go through a simple crimper. I like to do a pre-crimp. Get it where I want it. And this one's kind of easy to do one-handed. Or line it up one-handed at least. So I got it in there. Not too much pressure. And then we'll do 3/4 inch one. Again, I like to do a pre-crimp. This will be the farther back hole. Pre-crimp. Line it up just where I want. And then you could even do this one one-handed. The thing that gets tricky about this one is if you're doing something high, it's hard to get that leverage. Also, this one takes quite a bit of width, so if you're in a confined space, this one is kind of hard to get in there. So advantages of a Sharkbite version are that it's pretty easy to crimp. You could even do it one-handed or one hand against a bench. But the major disadvantage of the Sharkbite version is it's really hard to get in confined spaces. Alright, next up we've got the iCrimp. And the major advantage to this one is with the angled head and the mechanism, I'll talk about it in a second, you can get in really confined spaces because you don't have to open it up, like compared to the opening length compared to the Sharkbite one is crazy. I mean, you're saving a good 6 inches at least on each side. So yeah, the major advantage to the iCrimp is you're going to be able to get in those tight spaces. The cool thing about this mechanism that allows it to get in tight spaces is you open about this far and then pull this handle back, and that lets you get around the pipe instead of going that full open like the Sharkbite one. And then when you're actually crimping, you actually have this handle here, so you pull this down and that lets you get a first crimp, and then you release it when you've crimped it about halfway, and then you finish the crimp. So only about this much space is used, so you can get in between pipes or other tight spaces. So let's see it in action here. Get the crimp ring on. Again, you could also use this one one-handed. Just makes it a little trickier. Alright, again, I'm going to do a first little crimp here, pre-crimp. Release it. I'll get it exactly where I want it. You want it that little space away from the end of the pipe. Alright, got it where I want it. Alright, again, so you push this pin down towards you, and that lets the handle come in just that little bit. So you do the first crimp, and then that releases, and then you finish the crimp. Now I will say the major disadvantage to this one is it does take quite a bit of forearm strength to get that crimp going. because there's not as much leverage as the wider grip on the Sharkbite version. So you're in this closer proximity, so it really takes that finger strength to get it that full crimp. So which style PEX crimper should you choose? Well, it really depends. So if you don't have any confined spaces and you don't have to worry about getting in between a couple pipes, I would highly recommend the Sharkbite version, or the style that has this kind of mechanism, because it really is a lot easier to do the crimps. This also comes in the 1-inch variety, obviously. But if you do need to get into tight spaces, this is the one you want. But just know that you're going to have to take quite a bit of forearm and finger tension to get that crimp to happen. Because you have to crimp it once, that releases, and then you crimp it again. So compile it over time. If you're doing multiple crimps, you know, it depends how many connections you have, right? So if you have a lot of connections to make, your forearms are going to get tired and you will feel it. But it definitely gets in tight spaces, so maybe, you know, this one would be good to have if you can have both. But if you can have one and you don't have to worry about the tight spaces, definitely go with this one. All right, I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions in the comments. Give this a like if you like this kind of content, and see you next time.